Alright, now here's some interesting news out of the CME group. Now, for a quick little bit of background, every time the CME group, especially last year, they come out and they set the margin requirements for all commodities. And meanwhile, if you look back in 2007 or 2008, when gas prices went from $70 to like $150, the CME group was nowhere to be found changing margin, initial margin, or maintenance margin on these paper contracts. Nowhere to be found, no manipulation, everything's fine. But when it comes to silver and gold, especially silver, the CME group last year several times hiked the margins pretty heavy duty, and at least one point they did it like 5 times in a matter of a week and a half or something like that. 5 margin increases on silver. So what normally happens in a market in a situation like that, in any commodity, regardless if it's gold, silver, oil, sugar, corn, coffee, anything, all these people that have these paper contracts automatically know when they raise the margin increases, which the CME group was basically coming out on a Friday, like a late Friday, after the markets have closed, and then announcing by Monday or Tuesday morning, you've got to be in compliance with these new rules, new margin increase requirements. So naturally, people aren't going to dig into their account, their savings account or wherever they have their money, to put into their, basically feed their brokerage account, their futures contract, so that they can be in compliance with the CME group, because they already know there's going to be a ton of people who don't do that and are going to immediately sell their contracts. So even if I were to put the money in there that's required to keep my contract standing, everyone else is going to be selling, or not necessarily everybody else, but most everybody. Therefore, the market's going to go take a dive, and I'm going to lose my shirt anyways. So why would I put money into this thing? I'm going to sell my account immediately, my contract. And they did. And the price of silver, when it was $50, went down to 40. Then it went down to 35. Then it went back up to 40, 42, 43. It did that 3 times. And once it hit 43 or so for that third and final time, guess what happens again? The CME group comes out. Oh, margin hike. Big margin hike coming. Knocks the price down to the low 30s, from 40 down to like 31, 30, somewhere around there. And that's where we've been this whole time. 28, 27, right? We saw those numbers, and then we're creeping back to 30, 32. We're at 34 now and some change. So, let me give you a little more history here for a minute, of recent history. MF Global, as we all know, the little brokerage firm or whatever, stole their customers' money, took it out of those segregated accounts, which are not supposed to be touched, intermingled it with their own, bet on Europe debt, failed on that bet, oops, that was a bad call, lost a ton of money. We can't find the 1.2 or 3 billion dollars of our clients' money. It just vanished. We can't use the word stolen. No, vanished. It's just don't know what happened to it, right? But the CME group, the one I'm talking about, that sets the margins, we've got insurance. There has never been a penny lost on any client or any other company we deal with ever in the history of the CME group. We've got an upwards of $100 billion on standby for any kind of situation. And then MF Global did that and went bankrupt, and people said, hey, you're going to have to take a, almost a 30%, 28 or so percent haircut. And people like Gerald Celente said, wait a minute, I wasn't gambling with my money. I gave them the money in full to secure a contract in full of real gold delivered to me. Yeah, but you're not getting gold back. You're not getting gold at the price you paid for your contract, that $1,400 gold or whatever he said it was at. You're going to have to pay the full price now, and we'll give you basically of what you had originally invested, we'll give you back, 72%, and you can sue whoever for the rest of it, right? So that's how that ended. And everyone said, well, wait a minute, the CME group, where are you guys at? Here's a video. Gerald Celente played it a million times. Here's a video of the head of the CME group talking. We've got this insurance. No one will ever lose a penny. No one has ever lost a penny. We've got the backing. And then this happened, and the CME group's hand was shown. Well, we're not responsible. We don't have the money. It's not our... So it apparently, based off of some of this little research I've done here tonight, appears that a lot of people lost faith, and faith is very important in these financial matters, to have faith. People don't have faith, you lose. So it appears that the CME group may have lost some, customers, so to speak, because everyone saw how they handled MF Global, and they didn't like that. So people were already immediately, when MF Global happened, speculating that the CME group, you're going to start losing a bunch of customers now because of this, and you didn't do anything about it. You let these people's money fail. That's going to come back to haunt you. You're going to lose a lot of business on that exchange that you guys run. It's going to go over to Hong Kong and India and all these other places. So here's a fantastic article again from Zero Hedge. The CME group, this is posted today, by the way, 5:03 p.m. CME group cuts gold, silver, platinum, and copper margins. Notice how I didn't say they raised them. They cut them. Now, you don't suppose that they're feeling a little bit of pain. Oh, we gotta get faith back in the CME group, back in America. We don't want them leaving our exchanges now. But they already did. How can we get them back? Oh, I know. How about we lower margin requirements? Not only margin, not only the initial margin, but the maintenance margin with it. Initial margin, your immediate fee to pay to get in, and then the maintenance fee. In case it moves down or whatever, a little bit, you gotta have a little wiggle room. That's the maintenance fee. They lowered the initial and the maintenance margin of gold by approximately 12% and silver by approximately 13%. Just like that. So, as he says, how long before they are re-hiked higher and then they cause the price to come down? We don't know. But, as he also said, for now, however, this is certainly short-term, near-term, bullish for gold and silver. And those of you who may not know that term, bullish means good, high, right? A bull market, rallying market. A bear market, plunging market, right? So this is, as he says, near-term bullish. Now what the CME group is saying, look, we'll loosen the reins a little. We need some of that customer base to come back because we don't like how they just left us, even though they had every reason to leave us because we didn't do anything about MF Global, and we promised we would, and then we got put in a corner where they said, hey, okay, something happened, show us, fix this problem, and we stood there and said, no, we're not responsible, it's not us, it's this, it's that. We never said that. Well, here's you on video saying it. Yeah, but I didn't mean that. Right? You got that problem. So how can we get people back over here? Well, if they raise the margin requirements on gold and silver, especially silver, and that causes people to sell off their contracts, what do you think happens when they lower the initial and the maintenance margin together at the same time? See, before, they didn't used to do that. They would raise one or the other, the initial margin or the maintenance fee or whatever. They would just raise one or the other. It would still have the same effect, and people would sell off all their paper contracts. They just took both the initial and the maintenance fee and dropped both of them in order, even though they're not saying this, in order to get a lot more people back into this market over here in the American side of things. The COMEX, the CME group's going to handle that. So, I'm going to agree with Tyler Durden from Zero Hedge that at least in the short term, while this is in play, the new lower margins, we're going to start to see a commodity market boom again. We could have $50 silver here very shortly again, easily in the 40s. Because of this alone, the only question that remains is, are they going to do this on purpose, right? Lower the margins, get all these suckers back into the paper game. Come on over here, boys. Oh, you like that? You like making money? You like gold, silver going up right now on your paper margin? It's all leverage. Ooh, you're making a lot of money. You like that? Yeah, we do like that, CME Group. Thanks for lowering the margins. And then they flip the switch on a late Friday evening after the market closes, and then they jack up the rates to 20%. Maintenance and initial, we're raised at 20%. By Monday morning, you better be in compliance. And they can and will do that whenever they feel like it, like they've done so far. So, while this is weird good news, you have to wonder about them ulterior motives sometimes. So, if they really truly want their customers back, and they want that money flooding back into the CME group and our COMEX exchanges, the exchange here in America, they may have come to the realization, we have to leave these margins low. The way we just did it, we're not going to be doing it, raising them up again. because we need that money back in here. You know, we're feeling the pain too. Chances of that happening, my gut instinct says no. My gut instinct says they're going to pull people back over into the paper game again, and then they're going to raise the margin requirements again and clean a bunch of people out again, because that's what they do. If you're holding physical silver, none of this matters. Unless you decide, well, I would like to sell my silver here in the near future and make a little profit and then sell off. And again, if that's your motive, you shouldn't be listening to guys like me, because I'm not here to tell you how to make a quick dollar. I'm here to tell you how to save your financial livelihood in the long term, which is years and years from now. So while silver is still $34 right as of this moment, you can still get it. What's the market going to do tomorrow? No idea. What's the market going to do next week? Don't have any idea either. But this news alone, generally speaking, should be quite bullish for gold and silver and other commodities, because it wasn't just gold and silver. They did it. Matter of fact, the extended announcement, right? Love that word. 2, clearing member firms, chief financial officers, back office managers, margin managers from CME Clearing. Performance bond requirements dated Thursday, February 9th, that's today, 2012. Let me skip down to where this is at. It lists everything that is on these sheets here, which is pages and pages. Coal, crude oil, gold, silver, like almost all commodities practically are on here of what the rates are going to be. And across the board, straight down. What is it? Increase or decrease? It says decrease all the way down the board. 1 month out, 2 months, 4 months, so all these different contracts that they have. Decrease, 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 decrease. So, let's see if it says the current initial, for example, this particular Brent crude calendar swap, whatever, 8100 is going to become, it's 8100 current, 6000 maintenance current, and then it's going to become 7400 and 5500. So they're lowering that. There's different percentages for each commodity, and while I'm not going to sit here and read all of these to you, most importantly is silver. Matter of fact, let me see if I can quickly find this. Silver futures, the COMEX 5000. Here it is. All right, let's get real specific here. Silver, a full standard futures contract for silver is 5,000 ounces. Current initial margin is basically $25,000. The maintenance fee on top of that is $18,500. So you have to have $25,000 plus another $18,500 to play the silver game right now. Having said that, if silver moves $1 up, you just made $5,000. That's why it's so lucrative. Now, again, initial current is $25,000. The maintenance is $18,500. The new fees are going to take $25,000 down to $21,600, and the new maintenance is going from $18,500 to $16,000. Right, $18,500 to $16,000. So that's going to pull in some people, sheeple, into this system again. Are they getting set up for the slaughter? I don't know. Is the CME group doing this so that its boys, the club, can get in cheaper, so that they can ride this next rising of silver and gold to the top at a cheaper discount, now that the boys club, the club members, right, are ready to make their move? That's another possibility. Therefore, they might not be sucking in sheep, so to speak, to lead them to the slaughter and then destroy them again when they raise the margin, requirements. Because this was not, again, they attacked silver and silver alone last year. Minimum, I know it was half a dozen, more than half a dozen times, probably about 8 times if I had to guess, somewhere around there. Just last year alone. Several times. And it was specifically silver. And everyone's saying, why aren't you doing that to gold? Why aren't you doing it to oil? Why aren't you doing it to this? They didn't touch anything else. They just got brutally destructive with silver. by doing this margin increases. So today, what I'm reading you doesn't say we're just going to go tackle silver right now and lower the margins for both the initial and the maintenance fees. We're going to lower just silver. No, this is commodities across the board. I'm just reading literally 2 days ago about some of these big, or not some of these, but a very large, I don't even know what the proper title of the company is, but they're out there scooping up, you know, mergers and whatnot, big time scooping up of companies that deal in commodities and mining and all that stuff. Just days ago, literally 2 days ago. And this is one of these big companies. And I said, well, that's interesting that they're all of a sudden consolidating, you could say, scooping up some of these smaller, which even the smaller ones are quite large corporations, but scooping them up, paying them good money to get these commodity type, mining type companies all of a sudden. And then we have this information today. The next and only thing that is going to have any value, and I'll say this across the board, commodities. Not just gold and silver, and yes, those are considered commodities, those two, but other things. Just the fact that they're lowering all these margin requirements, initial and maintenance margin, on everything. Basically, that is a product on the COMEX, futures contracts. They lowered everything a good portion, across the board. And again, I said, not just silver. Before, they just specifically attacked silver, and when they did it before, as I just said, they did not lower the margins ever for silver. They just kept raising them. Raising them again. We went from 50 down to 40, and then went to 30, and then back to 40, and then they raised them again. And we went back down to 30, and everyone's scratching their head, why did you raise them again at 40 when we just went down to 30 and we're back to 40, but we were at 40 before, and then we went to 50 and you raised them at 50? Why would you do that again at 40? Well, we analyzed the month-to-month data, and that's where we needed to do. You know, that's what our computers tell us we need to do. Yeah, okay, sure. So now they're lowering everything across the board. There's a lot. I just gave you a few reasons. They could be setting the stage for a massive cleaning of the sheep, fleecing of the sheep, leading them to the slaughter. At the same time, the opposite argument, which is a damn good argument too, the boys club, the JP Morgan white shoe boys, as Gerald Celente likes to call them, the white shoe boys understand we've done the manipulation enough. We're at the end of that rope. Go ahead, CME Group. Knock the margins down. Call the boys. Get ready to place all your orders and all the commodities. We're going to ride that bubble, because it's going to become a bubble, to the top. And then we sell off at the top, and the whole market gets destroyed, but we'll have already sold. And again, as I've said to you a million times, that's our plan too, with our silver specifically. I don't care about any of these other commodities. Why? Because if I had to play with these, I'd have to play the paper game. What am I going to go buy a barrel of oil, futures contract, a real barrel of oil, store it in my garage like I can, you know, in a safe with silver? Am I going to buy, you know, 8 bushels of corn and store them in my garage? They're going to go bad. Which is why I love gold and silver, because you can store them for as long as you want. And no one knows that you own it. You can go sell it to the coin dealer or anybody, get the cash, get a check, and then take the check, cash the check at their bank, whatever. No one knows you had it. You pay no taxes. It's fantastic. The key is going to be riding this commodity bubble to the top and figuring out in your own mind, where's the top? Where am I thinking silver could ever go to? What is the maximum amount that I'm even expecting silver to go to? I would feel very comfortable selling at $300 an ounce silver. I think we could see much higher than $300, several $100 more than that. In the absolute peak of flipping out, economy crashing, dollar problems, all this crap happening at once, we could see that. I don't know how quick you or how much time you'd have to capitalize on something like that. But at $30-something silver, man, it's got a freaking buy signal all over it. Even at $40, even at $50. Because when this whole thing goes down, and you see what happens to the price of gold and silver when this whole final economic thing finally comes crashing down, you'll come to realize, man, here I was thinking about getting some more silver, and the price was $40 again, and I just thought it would go back down again, and I'll capitalize when it get back down to 30 or 28 again or something like that. And then it never did. It went higher, went to 70, went to 80, now it's 100, and I never bought at all this whole time. Damn it. You're going to be upset. You're going to really be upset. Which is why you should have been stacking silver. If you had a plan to buy some every month, every week, whatever it was, you should have never stopped doing it. I have not stopped buying for any real decent length of time. I continually buy. I've got a tax return. I've already filed it electronically. What's the quickest way? Bank transfer? Done. Give it to me. I check every day. IRS website. Is it in there yet? Nope, not yet. Check again. Is it in there? Nope, not yet. It's been sent to them, but there's no data on it yet. Once I see the data, and it's there, and it comes up, I know that wire transfer is fixing to take place. Every single penny, not hundredth, rounded to the nearest hundredth dollar. Every penny that I get back in this tax return, which I'm dying for, as I just said, give it to me, hurry up. I can't wait. I need it right now. Give me right now. So that why? So I can place my next order with Gainesville coins immediately when that money hits. And I already have some saved up money anyways on standby to make just a little bit larger of a purchase at that time. So I'm hoping in the next week or so this gets done. Because I don't know how rapidly we're going to see gold and silver and other commodities start to rise. Could it happen tomorrow? Oh, silver's up $3. Gold's up $40. It could. Not saying it will. Not saying that this will bring a flood of people back either. Maybe people are still on the sidelines saying, hey, I don't trust this. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, they lowered everything. Ooh, all commodities are lower. Ooh, I want to get back in. But, man, they still didn't make those people with MF Global right. They didn't make them whole. I'm not trusting it. And we may find that there's no real big influx in the COMEX, in these futures contracts using the COMEX, which is in turn, managed by or regulated by the CME group. Like I say, I got an argument for either or. I got an argument why this is a scam job and they're going to fleece everybody and then, pull the rug out from underneath everyone like they did last year. And I've got just as good of an argument as to why they don't want to do it now. And now they're ready to ride the commodity train all the way to the top. And old Ben Bernanke's probably on standby with QE3 any day now, any month now, ready to pull that trigger. Bill Gross. Let me go here real quick. PIMCO, Bill Gross, PIMCO. This guy, I'll just read you this from Zero Hedge. Regular readers of Zero Hedge know that in recent months, tracking the portfolio and thoughts of one Bill Gross via the holdings of his flagship Total Return Fund, which just jumped by $6 billion, by the way, in the past month, and is just shy of its all-time record north of $250 billion, has meant one thing and one thing only. Betting on the Fed monetizing the mortgage-backed securities or bust. Right? QE3 or bust is what he's basically saying. In January, he just took it to a whole new level. The fund has now borrowed a record $88 billion in cash. And it shows how much, what he thinks about the dollar. And used the proceeds, together with dumping European sovereign bonds, to bet on the mortgage-backed securities, which now stood at a whopping 50% of the entire portfolio, the highest since July 2009, when QE1 was in full force. However, in absolute dollar terms, due to the growth of the fund's AUM, the actual bet on mortgage-backed securities has never been bigger. And at $125 billion, represents the biggest notional bet ever made by PIMCO. Treasury holdings of just over $100 billion with an effective duration of 6.33 complete the epic bet that the fund has now put on QE3, that QE3 is going to take place in the very near future. You combine QE3 taking place, and as I said before, and I don't know why Bozo Beast just cannot get this through his thick, fat head. I've told him over and over and over again, Bozo Beast, what was the price of gold and silver before QE1 started? And then what was it after QE1 was done? They were both significantly higher. Bozo Beast. QE2 then started a little while later. What was the price of gold and silver at that time when QE2 started and then when it ended? Once again, both of them did phenomenal. Bozo Beast. Why do you think, right, 3 strikes and you're out, why do you think the third time, the QE3, and you know the QE3 is going to be a big one, why would gold and silver go down this time when QE1 and QE2 guaranteed and showed that they guaranteed the prices went up? And then you combine the CME group laying the road work. Hey, we're lowering margins, initial margin and maintenance margin, both. That's crazy. For all commodities across the board. Gold, silver, oil, all of them. Come on in, boys. Come on back. CME group's over here. All I can tell you is just watch the markets over the next several days, including tomorrow, which is Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, whatever. Maybe when the rest of the market traders, catch on that it's open season again in the COMEX, the prices are due to rise again. And again, even if it's short term, this data from the CME group just about guarantees commodity prices, yes, gold and silver included, are going to go up. Does that mean next week? I don't know. How about 2 weeks? I don't know. 3 weeks? Don't know. How about this, bozo? Soon. Soon enough. No one has the exact date written down or known. It's not going to happen. And then what would happen if all this is taking place and the commodity markets are booming and Europe really starts to let go? Greece and all this, right? Really lets go. All of the available money over there that sees it, oh my God, it's definitely happening. I've got to put my money somewhere else. The commodities area across the world is looking fantastic. Gold and silver, I thought they said those were in a bubble. Why are they back up? Why is gold, maybe not right this second, but bear with me. Why is gold back up to 1850? Why is silver back in the 40s? I thought they were bubbles. What the hell's going on here? All the experts on TV said these were bubbles, and we told you so. If you told us so, why are they back up breaking the highs again? I better put my money in that. And then you have an artificial bubble starting to form in the gold and silver markets. And I'm going to ride that bubble, as I said, to the top. As close to the top as I feel. And as I've told people who messaged me, where do you plan on selling? If the world is in absolute worse than terrible condition, I would sell at $100 silver. If everything's the way it is now, I still got my job, nothing's changed. I mean, maybe a little, in other words, nothing bad is affecting me personally. I'm not selling at 100. I won't sell at 200. I will probably sell maybe some, not all of it, at $300 silver. Now, as you hear my voice saying these numbers, it sounds absurd. But for anyone who's never heard of Lindsey Williams, who then started listening to him when gas was $71 a barrel for oil, and he said it was going to 150, that was the most absurd statement anyone ever made. And then he was right. And everyone scratched their head. And while it was 147, is actually the high, a barrel, he has the audacity to come out while all mainstream news on TV is saying looks like $200 is coming next, we don't know where this is going to end, oh my God. He says, don't listen to any of that. I've got word from my guy, the oil executive, retired, that in the next few months and to last to the first half of 2009, you're going to see below $50 oil. Lindsay, that is nuts. Now, I didn't believe you when you said it was going from 70 to 150, but it's $150 now, and look at what's happening. There's no way that the price is going down to 50. And guess what the hell it did? It went down to 50, and then 40, and then Saudi Arabia. We're going to cut 2 million barrels of production per day to bump the price back up, and that was when it was 50, and then it went to 40 2 weeks later. I thought supply and demand, free markets. What about that? Oh, that's right. The price of oil and all commodities, including gold and silver, are set on Wall Street. That's how they're able to push the price around, because a piece of paper said so. But that piece of paper can only say so for so long. So the bottom line is silver is looking fantastic right about now. If you're waiting, like I said, I felt we could see sub $20 silver, maybe even lower than that. I wasn't sure where they were going to push us down to. We did hit 26, and then it bounced back to 28, 30. But I also mentioned to you that based on history alone, I've noticed that the JP Morgan group, the boys, will let it go to a certain level. They'll ride it themselves, the price of silver. Then they'll drop it, and then they'll let people get back in it thinking, okay, that was it. And they drop it again, and then they clean everybody out. 2 times. They have only done it 2 times. Like, whenever they do this, they do 2 of them. It goes up, then they drop it. Starts to go up a little more, then they drop it again. That's it. Then they're done. That's already happened with silver this last go-around. It was 50, 40. Started going back down to 30, back to 40. Started 43, 44, boom, hit it again. Back down to 30. 27, oh my God. Now we're back to $34 and $35. So, at the same time, it's still set on Wall Street. The price is still set on Wall Street. There's no reason why anyone's going to be able to argue with me and say, well, this is it. They're not going to do it anymore. You can't. You can't argue that because they still control the paper price. But if they've decided in their own minds, we've manipulated as much as we can, we've done as much as we can, the CFTC is now going to have to finally tell us what they found with manipulation. The finger's going to be pointed at JP Morgan. Okay, we're getting ready for that. We've got the CFTC rules getting ready to kick in with the position limits, right? The whole 9 yards. All of this stuff is looking good for silver. The problem is I don't know when for silver specifically. How soon? Is it months away? Is it a few weeks away? I don't know. But it shouldn't matter to you because you should be stacking silver for the long term. Not months. Months isn't long term. Years and years is long term. I haven't been doing this for all that long, by the way, especially talking about silver and stuff. You know, you probably could go back to 2010 and find me first really starting to talk about that kind of stuff. You know, we're in 2012 now. It's 2 years ago. Big deal. We've got years to come when we see probably some crazy prices. But, again, with the collapsing of Europe getting ready to take place, all these things, we could see crazy numbers in silver and gold just out of nowhere just because these people lose control. Look at Syria. They're losing control in Syria. They can't get their war with Syria. UN veto, China and Russia vetoed it again. And then they had another Security Council meeting last Saturday, and they vetoed it again. Incredible. And now all the stories are going all over the news. Oh, they're killing babies. They're killing babies in Syria. These terrible men, they're killing babies. Killing babies? Oh, that's right. I already told you this story 100 times already on my YouTube videos. 1990, First Gulf War, the incubator baby story. Make a long story short, if you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, go to YouTube, type in Iraq War incubator babies, and you will see this guy, Barry Zig, something, Z, his name was the Z, investigative journalist. It was a damn lie. They said we took that Iraqi troops went into Kuwait and took the babies out of the incubators and rolled the incubators away and left the babies on the floor to die. And this little girl's crying, telling everyone she saw this. And turns out that we can't tell you who her name is for fear of reprisal on her or her family. Well, after we destroyed Iraq in 2 weeks and killed God knows how many people, and probably babies ourselves, it came out that she was the ambassador to America in Kuwait's daughter. Or niece or something, daughter or niece. And she was coached by the same, I think it was the same PR firm that got Bill Clinton hired as Mr. President. They coached her along this fake story, and when babies and women and children gets into the mind of American citizens, we are going to get involved in your country, and we're going to remove your dictatorship because you are disgusting. But what if all of that's fake, and the news is giving you fake news? It's not even real. That's exactly what happened, and they're rinsing and repeating the same exact thing right now as I'm doing this video. Syria, go to Infowars.com. It's on Alex Jones's front page. They're already coming out with the nonsense baby story. Not the incubator baby, just killing babies. That should be enough. They just tweak it a little bit. And I've already noticed back then, there was a poll that came out back in 1990, right? The incubator baby time frame. Poll comes out. Should we go help Kuwait? Hell no. Hands down. Polls show don't even think about it. Then they bring out this little girl, congressional hearing, crying her eyes out. Incubator babies. They took the incubators. Let the babies die. Fake story. Coach, trained, actor. Then a poll comes out again. Should we help Kuwait? Oh, kick his ass. 80% plus. Kill that sick son of a gun Saddam Hussein. Kill those troops of his for doing that. Disgusting pigs. And it was a damn lie. And so was the second go around in Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction. Weapons of mass destruction. We got to go in there. Another lie. Libya. They said he was doing the same thing. They were killing innocent women and children. Oh, got to go after Gaddafi. And we did. And now he's dead. And everyone bought that story too. And now we've got Syria. Oh, babies, babies. How many damn times are you going to buy this crap before you wake the hell up and think for yourself, you silly American sheeple? Of course, I'm saying that as if the sheeple are listening to me when all I've got is people who are wide awake listening to me. But you get the point. So anyways, I'm done with this video. Have a nice day or night.